Hello, hello, Internet Land. Today is going to be the first episode of an ongoing series called Sunday Matinee, where I review an older movie. And please feel free to leave suggestions or comments on what you'd like to see done next. But I'm going to be doing this every Sunday. And today we're going to be doing Oldboy. Now, this is a 2003 Korean film. I loved it. It was fantastic. I put a lot of emphasis on not being able to understand the plot of something, of not being able to understand where it's going, of not being able to really predict very well what's going to happen next. And I was not able to predict what was going to happen next here. It was fantastic, amazing. So my preconceptions. First, I really thought this film was going to be a standard revenge and torture film in the sense of Kill Bill. I just that's kind of what I heard, and that's what I expected. And it wasn't all like that. Now, there's already a spoiler warning. So what happened is the guy is held in captivity for 15 years in this hotel room. When he gets out, he meets this woman, and at the very end of the film, you find out that the woman is his daughter, and he has slept with her. Think about that. That is a crazy plot twist. Like, I thought what was going to happen was the main villain, that the character Desu slept with the mother of Jin Woo, and that Jin Woo was his son. I didn't realize that they were classmates. There's a large age difference there that really threw me off in that sense. But I really thought that's where they were going with it. I mean, that was just so crazy. Absolutely out of nowhere did I expect that. I mean, absolutely fantastic. I was thinking there was going to be a lot more killing. There's this fight scene where there's all these guys in the hallway, and Daesu has a hammer and he fights all these guys. I thought it was going to be, he was going to bash in these guys' skulls, and it was just going to be blood as far as the eye can see in every direction. And it wasn't. It's like he left those guys alive, which really kind of threw me for a loop. But it was very interesting in that sense. I just really expected it to be Kill Bill. I expected it to be Taken, where Liam Neeson goes on a killing rampage. So I was just incredibly surprised by this film, very pleasantly surprised. That tonality was very, very different. One thing that was kind of interesting was that Dae-soo was a very cool character in this film, but he didn't conform to the standard James Bond coolness, where James Bond is always well dressed and very hygienic and, uh, very nonchalant in everything he does. Dae-soo, wears women's sunglasses and has this crazy, crazy hair. To see that done well, it really shows how much attitude has in your fashion sense. Which, if it was done in an American film, I think it would have been so polished and focus group oriented that you wouldn't have really been able to understand or you wouldn't have gotten that effect. It just would have, plowed right over it like a mini mall plopped on top of a forest. There was a curious lack of depth, which I already touched on, but he doesn't kill these guys. I think that's so interesting. Like, he doesn't, when somebody's on the ground, he doesn't bash in their skull. The guy who kept him, he tortures that guy with a hammer and pulls out his teeth, but he doesn't bash in his skull, which I thought would have been obvious. Very peculiar in that way. It makes me really wonder what the American remake was going to be like. They really make the villain, Jin Lee, just the complete embodiment of sadism. Just so focused and so singular in his goals. How he actually pays people, like his own people. He kills Mr. Han, who's his bodyguard. Pays a guy to cut off his own hand to trick Dae-soo. Just an incredibly villainous character. Almost kind of reminds me of Nemesis, the Mark Miller comic. But there's also this belief that someone could run a corporation while being that singular in his efforts is very. It's just kind of one of these plot holes to me. Is a very common trope that the bad guy runs a corporation. You need to explain why he has so much money, but I think having him as a trust fund baby would make a lot of sense. Just in terms of how he could afford to bribe someone to pay someone to keep Desu in a room for 15 years. Another plot in the story is how does Desu's daughter slash lover get her hands on his journals? It didn't seem that Desu had his journals on him in the sushi restaurant, which I thought to be kind of strange. I never really understood why Desu was so interested in eating that octopus alive. I felt like that had a lot of significance, but I couldn't really quite figure it out very well. All right, let me know what movie you'd like me to review next, and thanks for listening. Have a good one.